All right, and so now we're on to part number 3 of the 5-speed swap. Now under part 3, this is basically just prepping everything to go in, because we've already tilted the transmission back, we've already loosened torque converter bolts, and got the transmission fluid drained out of the most as we can. But now we're going to be setting up the shift fork, the pivot ball, and then we're going to actually get it installed into the transmission, so that way all that stuff is ready to go when we go throw it in. First things first, always go with a factory Ford throwout bearing. Here's the part number for this right here. And I also went with a factory Ford, or actually the Ford Racing fork, shift fork. There's the part number on that. Now we're going to go over the proper way to install the throwout bearing into the shift fork, because this right here, I've learned can actually tear a lot of stuff up. So the throwout bearing has what is right there is kind of like a teardrop recess. Okay, you can kind of see that now as we spin it. And what that's going to do is that actually installs on towards the flat part of the back of this. Okay, and I even had to look this up. I actually went on to LMR's website and saw the video on it, because that teardrop confused me, because obviously I'm an automatic guy, so this is my first 5-speed in these cars, and this is something that I'm 100% sure I would overlook. Now, the proper way to actually install it in there is the teardrop here is going to face, like I said, the flat in the back, okay? But see how this just slides in like that? You don't want to do it that way. This actually slides under these spring clips. So when you go to install this, you're going to have to compress those spring clips with your fingers and then slide it in there, so that way it will pivot, but you want it to have that recessed tension back there. All right, so now this is what it's going to look like installed right here. As you can see, that teardrop is facing towards the back, towards the flat. It's behind the clips, and what that's going to do is it's going to let it pivot. You can see there, I mean, it's going to be a little snug, but what they do recommend also, and like I said, I watched the LMR video, so if you have any questions, that's definitely a video to go check out when installing one of these. But they put a little bit of grease here, put a light film of grease here. This already has a little bit of grease on the inside. It already has a little bit of grease here where the pivot ball is. And they also recommend putting a little grease right in here where the actual cable goes. Now this one right here has the weight in it, and a lot of other forks don't, but I do kind of like it. I think it's going to help with the pedal feel and make that Ram HDX clutch that I have feel a lot better as far as the pedal goes too. And once again, as you can see, clips are behind it, just like so. Now on to the next thing I have is the actual pivot stud that goes into the bell housing of the transmission. Here's the part number on that. It's D5FC-7B602-A. And we're gonna go ahead and open this up right now. You can see there what it looks like. Now, the one I have in there actually looks good, but it's chrome, and I mean, there's no problem with that, but it has a little bit of surface rust right here where the pivot ball is, and I already have this anyway, so I'm just going to install it. I'm going to use a little bit of blue Loctite on there to hold it. I might research into that, maybe see if you need to use red or something, which I doubt, but probably some good blue in there for vibration is a good Loctite to use for that. All right, now as you can see here is the stud, and that's for that little bit of surface rust I was talking about versus the new one. And that actually has a hex on it, and it's a 22 millimeter. So we're just gonna break that loose and replace it with the new one. All right, we have our new pivot stud in there. Put a light coat of grease here on the throwout bearing sleeve on this as well, and put a light coat of grease on it. Well, gotta get that off there, a little bit of dirt, but got a light coat on there, light coat in here, light coat on there, just like where they mention in the video as well. Now it's time to install this thing. So what we're gonna do is also put a little light coat of grease on there for later on. So we got it slid through here, got it sliding on that collar right there, and we're gonna get it just past here, on there, and then I'm gonna pop her into place. Now to pop that into place, all I did was line it up and then just tap on it right here. And now we can see full engagement range for that. Everything is lubed up, ready to go. And once again, don't go very heavy on the grease, because the last thing you want is heavy grease, especially on a brand new clutch, because all you're going to do is tear that brand new clutch up. It's going to get glazed over. It's going to be no good. Something I ran into here as well. I actually had this bottom pin. It was on this side of the pivot ball, and this was underneath, so I couldn't really even see that until I started seeing the movement. But always make sure that those clips right there are underneath of the actual stud to hold you in place. Because if it's not, then it's not gonna do you any good. Now you can see the true engagement of it right now. So now that we replaced those parts and installed them in the transmission, we're gonna be ready to start on part number 4. Like I said, part number 3 was just assembly of little things. 4 is gonna be the actual removal of more stuff. And for those that want it, I'm gonna go ahead and include LMR's link to their video, so that way they can go a little bit more in depth, and you know, it's probably a little cleaner than mine. So don't forget to like and subscribe, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.